Alright, greetings class. Ben Bush here, and we're going to do this. So I want to start off by going through a little bit of just rough structure. Um, right, you don't have to include every one of these in every single project. You don't have to be, I guess, thorough, but typically you have to go through some sort of process, right? If you jump straight to ideation, I'm going to go, okay, what are you fixing? If you jump straight to prototypes, I'm like, well, how'd you get the prototypes? Is that the fastest way to go about solving the problem? So I'm expecting a little bit of this, right? What's the problem? What part of the problem are you going to chew or break off? What do you need to learn in terms of research? Once you have the research, how are you taking what you learned and thinking through it? What works, what doesn't work? How do you prototype it? What did you do to fix it? And then share your solution and validate it by putting it back in some environment. Which actually, when you validate your solution, you're going back in your research and say, you know what, this is what I learned, this is what had to be done, and this is what I did. So with that being said, let's look at some of these things. I don't know whether to be optimistic or pessimistic. I'm just istic. So let's look. Alright, so right off the bat, you're using, it's not 11 by 7, it looks more like 11 by 14 legal. And since this is like a magazine fold, I'm gonna let you do what you want to do because it's your document. But if you look at the screen, which it'll be like more for most screens, this guy's kind of horizontal. And even if you tile this thing out like 1 and 2 like a spread, it's barely horizontal. I'm not really sure, but barely horizontal. Man, long day. Barely horizontal, leaves maybe 25% on the edges. Once again, your choice, but you're gonna have some difficulties with it. Additionally, these things have to work together. There's a left page and a right page. So if it's gonna be like that, show me as a left page and a right page. Wow. Oh, fair warning, everybody. I'm going to be sarcastic and saucy because it's the only way I can get through this. So, first problem, I said no words, and you know what? I see words. So let's imagine, let me do a good job of doing your job for you, and imagine what this stuff looks like with no words. Let me tell you what I think the process is. We're looking at boxes. We're looking at lots of boxes. Here's an open box. This is a person looking at shelves. I don't know how shelves, bookshelves, relate to customers. Easy to get products. Are we talking about boxes, books, or products? I'm not sure. We have an assembly line. We have a person holding a box. We have a person with a hand truck holding mini boxes. You see, like visually, I'm not putting the story together. And it's not really cohesive, right? This belongs to somebody else and this belongs to somebody else. You need to do all your work, or at least make it look like it's all one work. Charts. I'm not going to read this because I said I wasn't going to read. Numbers. Something's good. Things are going up. We've maybe got 100% where 50... Whoa. If we've got 100%, we are at a surplus with these two. So I can't give you feedback because you didn't help me. I mean, go back through the source structures. That's why I had y'all fill out those sheets so you could, I need to do this and do this and do this. Right now, I don't even understand what your problem is. How about focus on one thing at a time, help me understand the beginning, then you can move on. But that's not cutting it. Justice. Alright, we're back. Right? We're back? Yeah. Alright, we're good. I don't want to make a mistake. Are we good? Great. Okay, justice. Let's look at this. We're talking about cigarettes. Cigarettes on the ground. Somebody looking cool with cigarettes. A chart about littering stats. My first intuition wasn't so much littering. I mean, yeah, littering from this. But we all know the health effects of cigarettes. So that's where my thought was going. And then this guy, this says that almost 50% of something is trash. A bit of an assumption. Keep in mind, right, these don't really look like they go together, you're gonna have to somehow change that into you or make this graph look like that. In terms of size, I'm good with it, right? I mean, if you just scale this up, it fits my page or fits my screen. All right, you lose me a bit here, right? So we're talking about cigarettes. Cigarette litter, looking cool with cigarettes. We've got lots of waste, and the majority of waste is cigarette butts. Man, I gotta be honest, where are you getting this information from? I mean, maybe certain bins that have like a smoking pole next to them, or right next to somewhere people take break, yeah. But I'm making the assumption just on what I see, is if this guy is the average on every trash can, we have millions and bajillions of pounds of cigarette butts. And wait, balloons 1%? Crazy. I'm like, maybe this is in New York, and then you throw in fishing gear. So you got to help me a little bit understand what's going here. Littering statistics. It's always 3 o'clock. Man, this is almost like this is worth its own page, right? I mean, look how much information you're telling me. 1 thought, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas. Even if it's linear, man, like maybe more horizontal, fill up the page. It might be 2 pages. I'm not sure. And then we get to this cat. I'm still not sure what we can infer from the previous pages. We got litter of smoking. That's what you're dealing with. And then I see sketches of smoking. These are going to be really valuable. I love these call-outs. I mean, you're not supposed to show them yet, but I won't delete them either. But this tells me what you're thinking about these products when you go through. Downside, look at your first sketch. Look at your final model. You're kind of telling me you didn't really develop anything. Your first idea was the right idea. And I'm not really buying that. So I'd like to see more sketching of what are all the avenues, the good and the bad ones. I mean, they're paying for both. And then when you did this side, right, I don't really care so much for sizing. You could just tell me that the average size of a carton is this dimension, or you can have it in somebody's hand. Both work. Maybe the dimensions are important because, I mean, you may be using like one of the hundreds. Is there a standard size? Does that affect your design? Are all boxes the same? Prototypes. I love prototypes. Only thing I might do, right? So depth of field's working totally here, right? I get context. It doesn't really bother me, but I see what you're designing. I think this is really good. I'm a bit distracted by the background on this one, and your lighting's not so good. Maybe there are ways to Photoshop that so your object is in the foreground. Basically, you're showing me a solution here. I guess I'm okay with that. Good job with the depth of field. And then hand size. Hand size is good, but background. Stash. L stash? Not really sure. Also, doesn't that thing go inside? Maybe. I don't know. Let's watch sequence of use. I'd like all the spacing, so your horizontal spacing and that vertical spacing to be the same maybe. Or what you could do is, man, not even a sentence, but a statement of what's happening within the design. Maybe lower right-hand corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is a bit of an assumption. But if I'm stupid, I could read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you guide me, then I don't make the mistake. Then we get the final stuff. You know, in terms of, I want some more of this, right? So this sells it, right? It's not being like, hey, I made this one product just for me. I made it for an ecosystem. So maybe it's a partnership with different type of cigarette brands. Maybe it's a partnership with something that is backing cigarettes, even though you might need to go to, what is it? The Jewel? I'm just thinking in terms of new product categories because cigarettes are kind of demonized and non-nicotine cancer-causing things are more on the rise. A good conversation. I think you're in a good spot. You can go from there. Samantha. Okay. We got some sketches. We got a backpack. You already heard me in class. I bet is that when you start off with the final design, you are giving me actually too much power. Because if I don't like the final design, why in the world am I going to read through your product or read this project? So maybe find a different way not to show off everything, but talk about the concept, talk about the baby brain. I think that people who are parents really get that and gravitate that to that concept very much. I know you're talking about Nanny Connie, and so maybe this is some information about her. These are her clients. Maybe work on the spacing a bit here. They just feel like they are fitted a bit awkwardly. Good. People's guys are always good. Man, if you have this ability to draw people and convey emotion and convey not stereotypes but scenes, it can be very powerful. This it needs to be reformatted, right? Giant white space, and then that takes too much space vertically. And then what you're doing, you're creating like these margins, right? You've got a margin up top and you got a margin on the bottom with these horizontal lines. It is a graphic addition, but right now it's not helping you. Therefore, I am calling it hurting you. So my call right now is just nix these things, because until they become beneficial, they're just going to hurt. I'd like more exploratory sketching. What are you trying to think through? I know I said no words, but this is the time when you add the words into it. It seems like you're making a line of items, or did these things go inside? Maybe exploratory sketching first. This feels like more like second round refined sketching. I already told y'all about this. I don't care nothing about sizes. That tells me all the story about size, maybe use. If this is important, find another way to convey it. Then we get the prototypes, y'all. I love prototypes because like we make them to break them and learn. So in making this, what did you learn? Consistent spacing is good. I don't really know what you're telling me. The downside is these guys are small. So now we're looking at two of these. Are these different prototypes? Possibly. I really don't know. So maybe you'll do, big product shot and then explain sequence of use for concept 1. Same thing over here, big product shot, explain benefits or sequence of use on number 2. And then you get down to this one, and I feel like you just kind of BSing me a little bit. Look at all these pictures. Same, you just mirrored it. You just changed the color. Just changed the color. Same, just scaled it. So I understand like maybe what you're trying to do, but 2 full spreads of one product might be a little heavy. I don't see the difference really between them. And then here, of course, big fan of these, but you from wearing it to opening it to wearing it to opening it. If you're going to fuzzy you off more. We want to get rid of the corners a bit better. Make sure it's about the product, not so much the person. So if you have it kind of gradiate in from nothing to something, I think it'll look more like it fits. Michael Bridgers, I would give you feedback, but you already completed the course this summer, so we'll talk about yours on a different time. Sarah Pugh. Okay. I know this is the Taiwan program. I know you have information here. I'm cool with that. What is the challenge? So maybe this is more of a mood board. This is what I'm picking up from what you're putting down. People are aging. People want to play with kids. You want them to be active. That's what I'm getting from this page. This stuff is a bit awkward, right? Because you have like this margin up top and a margin on bottom, and then all of a sudden you're using it. Either maybe be more consistent, use it all the way across, scoot those up a little bit, get the spacing of that plus so it's between these two graphics. Next page. I'm afraid these guys are a bit too small to be useful. Why are we looking at a car? I'm pretty sure y'all never did car projects before. I know you're talking about ergonomics, but it's a misleading ergonomic. Good opportunity to talk about the difficulties of working with different cultures through language barriers. I know I said no words, but there's an opportunity there. And then there's just the greater size of these things. I can't see these, and you know I'm not going to zoom in, because if I zoom in and get lost and get frustrated. This is a mind map. You got to remake this vector a cleaner form. Make sure it kind of fits your personality. That way you can use it again later in your portfolio. Assuming this is the background. Downside is you got white models on a white background with zero contrast. So don't know what you're doing, but I'm hoping you'll know what you're doing. And then we get to this, right? And this is all new to me. If your sketch was bigger and the sketches had hierarchy, maybe I knew what we were going to be talking about at this point. Keep in mind, who's your audience? And these look like I don't even want to do this, but I'm going to do it. 200. Who's your audience? Probably Americans. We don't read this. So if you add this, I literally can't help you. And then like this, if you're doing a project that's very engineered focused, or like you manufacture the pieces, yeah, it's okay to give me engineered drawing, or yeah, it's okay to give me exploded drawing, but probably not like this. It's just kind of, hey, I did it, I threw it on the page, give me credit for it, but it's not really building your argument. I don't even know how to use this thing yet. So in terms of describing what you're doing, why you're doing it, we got a pretty good ways to go. And then lastly, I want this thing in context. I want somebody using it. That would help me figure out the rest. Walden, aka Jan. I don't know what this is. It's interesting. It's got a little smiley face. Hey. Teaser image. Alright, cool. We're talking about coffee. We've got different ways to make coffee, where we ground it, we brew it, we filter it. No, it looks like a computer. Then we have all of them with almost within kind of an oval. Don't know, like you gave me context. I knew we were doing coffee. We're doing a coffee process. Don't really know what this is leading me to know. Then we get into sketches. Good sketches. Maybe I'd like a couple more. Like, is this going to be a sketching project or is this a modeling project? The reason why I'm a bit hesitant on the sketching aspect is, let's look at the form factor. Conical, 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 conical. So in terms of form, or maybe experience, I don't see a lot of diversity. Maybe this is a second round sketch instead of our first round sketch where you're thinking through ideas. And, alright, placeholder image, got you. Yeah, this is more of a second. This is the one you wanted to go with. You have a model. What did you learn from it? Being very important. And then, I think I've told you this because I told you about your portfolio before, but when you do black on black, I can't really, I don't know what's going on in here. So, if there's a way to change the contrast, part of me says re-render, or if it's a 3D model, or a 3D print. Man, if it's a 3D print, then maybe go with a 3D model and use the 3D print later. No, it's a 3D model. Yeah, we got to get some of that lighting right. And at some point, you got to walk me through the process, because if no one's ever owned one of these before, you got to show them how to use it. And right now, we just show it being done. So, potential, but yeah, lots of things to work on. Zen, all right. Awesome project. Look at this guy I got earlier before Tuesday class. I'm not sure this is all you. Is this build your own kingdom or king do? King do. 100%. I already know this is a big project. I looked at it before. But the background is we're playing with toys, and then a market analysis, right? So if you just introduce the idea of toys, ages 5 through 10, tangible toys, maybe role-playing games. This is a bit easier to read, right? Parent analysis. I'm assuming we're talking about kids because you showed a kid and you showed kids' toys, but then you're talking about parents, which we shouldn't really be talking about anything. The radar map. Don't know how to read this yet. User analysis. That sounds very stern. You're talking about kind of a lighthearted topic instead of user analysis, like kids at play. Another way to say that. Cool, these look great. Are these yours? If they're yours, awesome. If they're not, man, you might got to give it credit to somebody else. User journey map. And user journey map should be fun and exciting, but this is not fun and exciting. And I said, I don't want any words, so I'm just look at graphics, which leaves me things go up and down. So maybe mood changes. Sketches, models, render. I think it's a bit too much for one page. And I don't even know what these guys are. Right? Like, what are we going for? I thought we were talking about like a market analysis, which should tell me like what product range are we getting into. And then all of a sudden I get sketches. I don't know what for. Like who is this for? What type of play? And then you go, it's just too much on one page, man. Help me understand why we're doing this type of product first, what was successful and what was unsuccessful through the development, and then you get to the modeling aspect, and then you get to the rendering aspect. And hopefully by that time I understand what these components are for, but right now they're just kind of floating over there. And then we do graphics. I think graphics are great, but package. Package instead of being flat would be a lot better to see a package in a store, on a shelf. And then we're back to armored vehicles, mobile fortresses. It's I don't know. It's just difficult to understand. So we have a product. You're adding branding to it. We're adding an app to it, or rules for a game. And games are tough because there's a lot of things that can happen. Internal structure, so we have some things that would appeal to engineers. Question: how do you run it? Where's the battery at? And who's the audience for? Because I can't read any of this, right? I shouldn't have to read it right now, but keep in mind, who is this for? I can't help you if I can't read it. So let me ignore all the words and tell you what I think about the images. Give me the whole thing first, and then show me where these components come from. All I can really tell you for sure is I think this is the base, but the rest are just pieces that came from places. And then we have in-game use. We have numbers. It's just crazy. Like I don't know what we're doing here. So I need you to walk me through step by step. It's like almost like two portfolio projects. One is make the product and show the packaging, and the second one is shows the user interface and show how the game works. Because it's a lot of content for just the 9 pages that you have. Pratt Studio, right? I don't want to show off sketches first because what if they don't like the sketches? And this is a big no-no. You just tell me which product you're going to go with on the front page. And it's not even a really good look. It's kind of like initial sketches. So just say it's Pratt Design. And then like, what's the goal of the class? Alright, we're in grocery stores. That looks good. That looks kind of dingy. Untapped areas. It's not my job to go back and fix the projects, but I can tell you very quickly that the products that are going to be the back third of this shelf are going to be pretty hard to access. Like if it was a triangle, it'd probably be easier and more stable because it could rest against something. Because we can't go back and do the projects, you've got to explain to me why a circular stand is more appropriate to solve your problems. Which brings you to another thing. What's the problem with the ones that are out there right now? Right? You're showing me, like, you've shown me an end cap, but here you're showing me aisles. Let's continue reading. Alright, still don't know a lot of the why and why that's the most beneficial way to go about solving it. You're showing me how to fold it. Let's make sure the design is valid and fits into place first, and then you can show me some manufacturing or assembly effects. Looks nice, but I'm not even sure if it's successful yet. Hold this. Went from, to me, no sketches, because all I started earlier was a background. Research. What did you learn? Why did it lead you to do these? Out of these, what's the most successful? You prototyping in small scale. Did you learn anything? Yes or no? You made a looks like model. Now madly. Let's be honest. This is not the best Photoshop job, right? It's like leaning towards me, and it's in the center of the aisle, right? Keep in mind, people walk with shopping carts, which means I'm not going to go down that aisle, which means a lot of people will be pissed off at you because their product has no visibility. Dang. Go back and fix the first. We'll get to the stuff later, but I've got to be convinced that, where are you? I guess this one is a good idea before we can do the rest of it. I've got a chair, right? Told you in class, don't show the final thing, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to read it. I don't necessarily need words. Something is challenging. I see that this small human is missing a foot. So I'm making the assumption is that we're working on prosthetics. Sketches. We've sketched furniture with wheels on it. Not sure how that relates, right? I see feet. I see prosthetics. I see chairs. Assembly. What are we assembling? Like, what's even the problem right now? Why is the solution a chair? And then someone, does he have a second leg? Yes. Don't you think he'll scoot around if you put wheels on it? Is that good or that bad? You show me connections, and then it's in the shower. Chinny, oh my gosh. To say this is crazy is like an understatement. This is wild. Like, I don't understand anything about this project. You know that like bathrooms are a slipping hazard, right? And you put wheels in the bathroom. Somebody gonna help me on this one. I am at a loss for words, which isn't easy to do. Miss Shoemate, what do we got? We've got an exploded view of something. We got Georgia Tech, an ID, somebody who's really tan next to a guy who's probably in a frat. I can tell because maybe that's like turtle shell. Statistics graph. Why is this even important? And why is there a white background for both of these? And why are you using industrial design, which is a subset of Auburn, and Georgia Tech, which is an institution, right? Like, that's a university. This isn't even like college. It's like part of a department. So like in terms of branding and marks, these don't really go together. All right. He worked with some guy with great cheekbones, great teeth, to make shoes, to make belts, to make chest straps. And then I go from sketching to like illustrated drawings. I mean, it's bigger, it's like it has more of a hierarchy. I'm assuming you're going with this, but I don't know why these are favorable and why they're not favorable. I'm really not really sure what the problem is either. We have a terrible photo of something. We have an explosion, looks like some type of Arduino, circuit board, breadboard. And this would be a sequence of use, but it doesn't make any sense, right? This should be linear. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how I encounter an environment. It looks like echolocation. I've got a car getting to school. I've got stairs. This needs to be explained more thoroughly. That might help me understand what these things are. I love that shirt. Ryan's an amazing guy. But what is this? Right? If I don't know what this is by now, you shouldn't show up by itself. I don't know what this is. I got some Velcro in the back. It attaches to a belt. It attaches to a backpack. Goes to his ear. Kind of stop and say this is ugly. Like the other one actually has some curvature to it, right? Look, bit of a curvature. And then we stripped all the curvature away and made it like angular. Maybe there's a reason, but you didn't explain the reason. In terms of 3 different size grids, right? So I don't know. Sorry for being sassy, I'm just calling as I see it. What's up with this white fuzziness? It's not a very good Photoshop job. Also showing this with people, also showing it how it works, what are its benefits. I'm lost. Go back to the beginning. What's the problem? I bet it's some type of hearing impairment. What's the current solution? What's wrong with the current solution? And then how are you going about changing it? Alright, we're showing some stuff. We got some honeybee hexagons. We're loading it up. Loading it up. Alright. Tom Beckby. We've got some type of garment. We got more hexagons. I'm assuming you're explaining a brand. We've got vector drawings of these shirts. Or actually not really vector drawings, as you hit the live trace button. Over hexagons. Who's their brand? What do they do? What is your job? What's your task in this situation? I've got business cards. In terms of design, I feel like these guys are a bit more compressed, right? Like, big visual of the vest, and then really small words. I mean, come on. Are you expecting me to read this information? Also, you're really close to the edges. I know I'm not supposed to change the design, but I can't help but notice some stuff either. Business card. Also, just look at your leaders. These are pretty easy to understand. They're being pulled straight out. There's a level of structure to it. And then you go crazy. I mean, look at where all these guys are coming from. Alright, so at this point, I know that they're supposed to clip into a shirt. Why'd they ask you to do it? Why do you even have to make a tag? And what utility is this bringing to the purchase? Questions that should have been answered up in here. Benjamin? I know it's not Benjamin, I'm just habit. Alright, loading. These are nails. This is something I don't know what it is, right? I can't really judge the design because I don't know what it is. It looks interesting. Let's continue reading. Some good and some bad stuff. There's more of these. Something's more than 24. Also, this is confusing just in terms of I should swipe to the right, but there is no right. We've got people on a construction site. We're messing with something. This is a guy bending a pole. I would like a transition, right? This looks a lot like a product. So maybe you're going to be telling me what's wrong with this or the necessity of this product. You give me sketches, not really any in terms of sketch development. You took a machine to it. Maybe if I understand what it was for, I could appreciate why you're making these changes. So maybe that comes in the callouts. But at this point, we're on job site. Somebody's using a tool. I need to know what's wrong with the tool before I see the improvements on the tool. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got details. I think a sequence of use or some way to explain, this is how the old one works. Here, how my new one works. This is why it's superior. And then you can go into the details, because without it, I don't really know what it is. Alright, lamp project. Load it up. Alright, we got money, we've got a direction, and we've got a place marker. You got somebody else's designs. I like this one especially. We've got silhouettes. I'm cool with silhouettes. Some aren't truly silhouettes. Some of them kind of breach into the 3D space, right? The way you've done your cross hatching makes it look like it's 3D. That looks like it's 3D. That's obviously 3D, and some are silhouettes. Is there a way you can talk about, like, what do you want to change? What's the goal of the project? And just because I know the project, this one's really hard to explain in silhouette sketches, mostly because of this. It's about light escaping a structure. It's hard to explain that here. Some more refined sketches, you chose the short squatty one with 2 legs. Okay, I'm cool with that. Keep in mind you want to show the transition between your first idea and probably your prototype, because it's only really see these, and then going back to the sketching / drawing board and working on a new idea. We've got 3D CAD. I think this is a cool part of the project that a lot of people just don't do very well. This is the first time you're ever like producing something, and so when you have your first iteration on manufacturing it, you go, oh no, I'm wasting too much material, that's going to cost X number of dollars. Well, good design is cost-effective design, so you're able to choose the same outcome by being smart about how you're placing the pieces, about choosing what to sacrifice and what to keep. That's a cool story. I'm not sure if this page tells it. Light emission, neat, but that's the first thing I see. I mean, it's high contrast, right? You got bright against dark. And not that guy back. Make your object the one that's in the foreground. Yeah, cool. Alright, Georgia Tech plus Auburn. What are we gonna do? And why is it even important to explain what a collaboration is? Is this the problem? We got somebody walking across a road kind of in front of a car. What's up with this image though? It's fuzzy and it's dark. Love this. Am I saying I love this? I don't love this. We've got something. I'm ignoring this because I said I didn't want any written text, but you're showing a product. I'm assuming either developing it or it's your competition. So explain it. What does it do? What doesn't it do? What needs to change? Maybe this is more of a marketing approach. Maybe these are futuristic technologies. Should be in the same page as sketches. No, because this feels like it's more research, and this feels like more it's iteration and development. And it's checking through. Pretty linear. Is it all ear based? Ear and eye? Prototypes. Love prototypes. But explain this one thoroughly and then explain that one thoroughly. Put them on the same page. It's difficult for me to. I'm just getting confused. Explain one idea. Next page. Explain your second idea. Then we get to another prototype. Not really wild about this futuristic model guy because it's really more about putting that on a human scale, not so much about it being a human model. If you just trace the outline and fill it in with like a 10, 15, 20% gray, it'll be about the product, not the thingy. Also, try not to cut heads off. A person walking around outside. We've got hot spots, pain points. It sees it. How does it even relay the information? Explain like how this guy works in the first place would help me appreciate some of your later developments. Once again, right, if there's anything wrong with it, why fix it? And so you explain to me what's wrong with it, it's difficult for me to go, oh yeah, she made an improvement. Detail shots. I'd rather keep all the detail shots on one page and then a hero shot on the next page, because like throwing it in the middle is rather confusing. Think about breaking this up into 2/3 and 1/3 instead of a third, where if you have a big hero shot taking up 2/3, then details, that could work. Or if you're going to do multiple small ones, let me think. Maybe you do 6 images, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a bit of written text about them. we need a grid. You're showing that it unclips, and you're showing that the headphone goes somewhere. Good. But why does it do that? Alright. There's never a really good hero image of this, though. How are we doing on time? Alright. Once again, try not to show final solution at the very beginning, but then again, I don't know what it is. So I can't say, oh, I don't like refrigerators, or I don't like that refrigerator. It's just, I don't know what that is. It's 43 inches long. I say no text. I didn't say nothing about the numbers. But what's the context? We have boys firing projectiles. We got you gluing things. Distance. Why is distance relevant? Sketches. Downside of the sketches, I'm being very honest. The first sketch you show looks an awful like that guy. So, is this a sketch development project? Like, what part of your skill sets do you want to show off on this? Then we got, like, see the problem? Like, this is more beginning, figuring things out, and that's more final. Flip-flop them. I don't know what that is. Alright, what part of this is like creative and what stuff is just manufacturing? That's definitely manufacturing. I say kick that out. These are more detail shots. They shouldn't be shown with like the process of making, even though I don't even know if the process of making is even worth looking at. Sequence of use, downside. Look at the contrast on this page. One of our visual hierarchy terms is using color, like pop color, which makes my eye go straight to here. Right? Maybe adding some grays, some gradients to help me build form could be beneficial. Because at its size, it's difficult to understand what you're trying to convey. And you got it on the ground with these little pellets that look like they have been modified. So, looks like you make your own Nerf gun. Don't show that first. Give me an introduction to whatever these are. Why is distance important? And then what are your avenues on achieving that? I don't feel like this should be here. Especially at that point in the project. Paul, we've got a chair. Which falls into my rule of don't show the solution at the very beginning. We got a ton of sketches. I like sketches, but there's zero hierarchy, so it's hard for me to know which one you're going to go with. We got more sketches. I'm assuming these are development because they came afterwards. Did you do any prototypes? And is this a 3D model or is this a physical model? I'm going to guess by this underneath view that it's a 3D model. Why? Did you make any like small paper models? Because these things are going to be sat on, and is it really the best idea to learn that information from some type of CAD or computer-aided design package? Oh, cool. This makes more sense. So why did you have to go to 3D? We have three little things on the desk. In hindsight, I would try to make these things look like they're 1-to-1 scale, get rid of the background, take it on a floor with the background. That way scale isn't so much of an issue. I'm curious what you learn from these things, and like the page just needs a lot better formatting. This needs better formatting because everything is the same importance, which tells me nothing is the same importance. And you got a lot of background distraction too. And then we throw into manufacturing, right? I don't really care how you did it. I'm more concerned, did you run across a problem while manufacturing that taught you something about the end result? What did you learn through this process? Because if you just like laid things up and pressed it, and it's not a skill that's unique to the process, and if it's something I can teach a high schooler, then maybe we don't show it. Let's not cut off feet. Let it be about the product. So somehow we got to make this accentuated and the person sitting in it less accentuated. And man, you can't take photos like this. Right? You took a picture of a chair in studio. Where's this guy supposed to live? If it's like the previous chairs, it's supposed to live in like a coffee house or something. So in order to make this work, and like, it's got to be in the correct context, and currently it's not. I should look at this chair and go, wow, that's an awesome chair. But the Photoshop job isn't there yet. It looks kind of dried out and desaturated. Break this up maybe in multiple pages. On one page, you're going to talk about the details. Don't show me multiple images if I'm not learning things from new images. And then on an additional page, glamour shot in the correct context where we go, that's a sexy looking chair. Right? Don't know what it is, can't judge it. We got a dad and a baby doing work, we got a shop, we got a handyman, we got a home. We've got some sketches. Actually, we just have some shapes. I don't know what our goal here is yet. What does this person need to do? How is your design going to make his life better? It opens, it hangs. Still, probably too small. I don't know the context right now because it's too small. We're in a shop. Maybe it's some type of light. So context appropriate. Is this like Breaking Bad with like a pot in the background? No, this is like a violin shop. Okay. Why is this appropriate to be living in a violin shop? And really, like, how does it help you achieve your goals? Because up to that point, like, you made a flashlight. So what are the benefits of using this opposed to a flashlight? Lots of placeholders, you're doing most. Alright, don't know what it is, can't judge it. No! It's so bad, I'm gonna get my water bottle. I'm gonna take a sip, and we'll just think about how bad this page is. Hydration makes the pain a little bit less. Let's just call this a placeholder page. We're going to show research. Okay. Currently we're doing sketches. Okay, so we do research, we do sketches, at least where it's a little bit of a process going here. We go from sketches into models. Show these guys, right? That's more of a process. That's finished. That's beginning. Start with the beginning. All right, tell me how you improved. Next page. It's going to be more of a finished. What's our problem? I should know that from research. We'll see. Yo, what is up with this hand? Like, if I saw this as like a professional, I would go, he can't do Illustrator. Even though up here it proves you can do. But come on, man. Is it Stuart Scott? I don't know. Come on, man. No, it's Stephen A. Alright, we got a home. You're going to be in a bit of a challenge, right? I do want it in context. I want to show you like experientially how it works. But that's small and that's small. So either pick a room with an angle where it benefits your solutions, or find a way to accentuate them so we can see them. And this is where it gets confusing, because you solve some problem. Hopefully by now I know what it is. It has a fan on it, so it does some type of AC. But this shows it as a solution, and then you go back into it. Like, how big of a solution is this thing? Is it not just like a Google Home, but I have to replace my entire HVAC? Okay, I'll accept this as you're showing human scale. But everything I've seen up to this point, it says something, temper. I don't know what it does. I don't know what it solves, because up to this point we're talking about HVAC, and that was a bit of a stretch for me just based on that. So I need some more guidance. Alright, botanic. Don't know what it is. I wish that a better view would be more straight on. Let's see, if I started at 0 to 30 degrees, this feels like it's more aerial than I want to. If maybe this is like 70, 80 degrees. Just, that's what I prefer. We got drugs. We got 3 out of 5 people. We've got medicinal herbs. And maybe some researched people. Is that enough to get me to sketches? What are you trying to solve? Drug use, natural drugs, snake oil. It looks like you're working on packaging of items. So, is there something wrong with the current packaging? Is there any packaging at all? Alright, you went with those concepts. Alright, I'm cool with this. Why is it different colors though? And is it packaging or is it a wearable? Throw them on the same page, it's hard for me to know. You got you and somebody else looking at models, testing out. Why do they go in a backpack? I don't know this information yet. Good photo. You ever seen Hunger Games? When at the end of the first movie, Katniss and Peter are going to take those nightlock pills? I imagine it kind of looks like this. So why is it on his arm? Alright, we don't want to do this, right? Because in terms of scale, I don't know how big this thing is. 4 inches, 5 inches? And if it's 4 inches or 5 inches, you have a second version that's maybe 9 inches tall. So, you got to show it as like something inside an image box, and then one's full bleed. But by doing full bleed, I've got scaling issues. And you turn it. Hopefully by now you explain why I need to turn it. More branding stuff. Looks good. Just I don't know why you're letting me be the one to grind it up. Maybe it's, maybe that's part of the luck, but then I get to the wearable and I'm confused. Are we making a wearable or are we making a grinder? Alright, row B. Don't know what it is, I gotta keep on reading. We've got somebody borrowing a stock photo. Alright, what do you want me to know about this first page? Tech, projectors, screens. Projectors, okay? Battery's low, not much sound. You like puzzles. You can do rounded corners. Downside is they all gotta be rounded. If you don't round them, you don't have to round them. Just think on it. I think this situation with the rounding is really killing you, though. Alright, we got a projector in the room and some type of prototype. A slightly different projector? I don't know. And is this a different one or a similar prototype? And then a stand. This is moderately understandable. I'd like it to be bigger so I can understand what's going on with it. These, not so much. They're just shapes in a room. So without showing me context, showing me application, it's difficult for me to know. Project 2. Lots of funky white space. What are you trying to show me? Right? Some sketching, some prototypes. Is it the prototype you want to deliver? Why is it successful? Which comes back to, hopefully by now you've explained to me the problems. That way I'm like, okay, yeah, that'll solve it. Hypothetically, oh, that's a better idea. Let's go with that one. You develop it out a bit in terms of form. You develop it out in terms of function. Another thing is you just dropped this 1+ system in here, and you haven't told me anything about the 1+ system. So maybe that's your first 2 pages. Cool. I think these guys, your details are too small. Man, made this into like 2 or 3 pages. Beautiful hero shots, exploded view, put numbers on it, and have a vertical column on the right and say, you know, these is more of an itemized list. Show me the details and then show me application instead of doing all the same page. I think without the context, this thing doesn't make any sense. I really don't care anything about this page. I'm more interested in that. And that's how it solves problems. These are some cool renderings. Alright. Double layer. Don't really need words. We've got, I'm going to go with dry skin. We've got dusty household. Okay. We've got sketches that circulates air. Right? Pulls cold air through, pushes hot air out. That's what I read, that's what I get. Not much sketch development because this looks almost the exact same. So, was there any problem solving in the sketching phase? You're like, oh, I did 7 sketches, this is the one that worked, that's the one that I turned into vectors. Renders. Small images, I don't know what's going on. We have it in a room. If this is an air filtration system, you've got to tell me why current air filtration systems don't work, why it's a valuable product, and then you've got to introduce the 1+ line because that's what it's based on. We've got quiet and crying babies and mom looking for something. Dad doesn't know what to do. Dad's lugging a bag. Almost going to step on something. We got Nanny Connie and us. Why'd you put this here, right? This says, hey, I did lots of work, but I'm not going to tell you about it. Which tells me it's not important. We've done sketches of bags. Yo, that's beautiful. That's great. Why are we making a bag, though? And how is this bag going to solve these people's problems? It's modular. It's got some numbers. We got different zones. I like the different zones, right? This is a good way to explain why it's successful. But it's hard for me to give it credit as being successful until I know, hey, what's wrong with the current systems? Prototypes, super cool. What did you learn from the prototypes? What were assumptions that ended up being good? What assumptions ended up being wrong? And you had to go back and change the design. So I should see a change waiting for prototype. Yeah, I should see a development between these guys and your final. Alright, we're talking about prosthetics. A little bit of weird beginning. But still gestural. I know we're working on prosthetics, so I'll leave it at that. We've got people with prosthetics doing things, living their life, being humans, because people with prosthetics are humans too. So I would say unique, which is kind of a stretch. Like, I am from an urban environment, and it's hard for me to even call that unique. That's a stretch. Custom art is, $1,500. LL backwards LL. What's the problem here? Other than people missing legs, and then doctors and engineers made some pretty cool legs. What are they missing? Why is it important? You got some people who maybe an amputee, maybe not. Amputee to the left, below the knee amputation. Question is, why is adding a surface to the external portion expensive? You went through sketches, looks like some type of quick release. I did a project on that once before, a decade ago. Hope yours is better. Yeah, I can't see the forest for the trees. We got lots of things going over here. What are you even trying to solve? And when your sketches get down to that small, I can't even tell you what it's for. What are you using Autodesk and 3D printing for? Didn't this solution use 3D printing? I mean, if you're talking about CAD, you're using 3D printing. So how is yours different? It uses less money. Why? Why is theirs so expensive, and why is yours so inexpensive? You made a loft. Good. Took 20 minutes. You cut it in half. You add some graphics. Yeah. This is awkward. Why does he need a prosthetic cover? And because you are using 3D printing technology, shouldn't it be personal? So I need to know something about this guy on what he wants this type of pattern. Because if it's not personal, why even do it, man? Just give everybody a lofted or a revolved surface 3D printing and call it a day. Fix the first 8 pages, please. Alright, Thomas, let's see if you fix the first 8 pages. Alright, we're getting close to the end. Well, you didn't re-upload it. Let me show you what I see. Right? Blank page. Blank page. Blank page. Blank page. By now, it's telling me I just uploaded it without even looking at it. Blank page. Blank page. Oh, we have a project. Man, I am such a good person for being consistent and getting to the 8th page to hopefully you had content to show me. Come on, get the pages right. I don't know what Nero is. I'll keep on reading. It's pixelated, which tells me you don't care. We're talking about bottles. Empty plastic bottles. And that a little bit of water is bad. Right? Because 75% of a little bit of water is bad. We have some sketches. We have some models. If my assumptions are right and that plastic bottles are bad or not having water is bad, then your sketches should solve that problem. Are these dimensions? You don't know how I feel about dimensions. What are you trying to solve with these? I don't know yet. And once you get down to like a good concept, then you can do the cardboard modeling, because this takes longer than sketching. But until you come to a conclusion, this shouldn't happen yet. Alright, so if you're going back to the drawing board, explain what happened to one of your prototypes, and like, oh, here's an opportunity I missed. I'm going to go back and change it, and this is where it led me to this. Which, what's up with this fuzzy here? It's just a really bad way handling renders, especially I don't really know what it's for. I don't know its context. I don't know who it's going to be, who's going to be using it. Nero, is this for water? Because if it is, you got to have some way to at least hold like a piped in water hose. Confused, man, confused. I need help. Lad day. You know how I feel about zooming in, right? It's y'all's job to figure that out. This has been Bush being nice. In the future, I'll say, delete it, get it right. We're talking about some type of lighting. Here's different Japanese influenced lighting elements. Here's some iterations, no sketches. It's okay to do different type of sketches. Even like vector drawings can be sketches thinking through a project. Are the green ones the one that you felt were more favorable? I'm going to guess so. Alright, which one of these concepts goes into these? I would say top left and that one. But this should be different pages because this is in CAD and that's a physical model. And typically it goes sketches, quick model, render, not the other way around. Talked about this earlier. Cool thing about this project is the manufacturing aspect. Is this the most efficient way to get the most out of your cut, right? Pinocchio runs the numbers. You can get empirical data of like, this is a better design, or this is a better design financially because you can afford it, and it's just as good a design as the other one. So find that balance between the business side and the design side. All right, we got different iterations. I can't have that, right? It should be vertical. It's not vertical. Is this for shipping? Then maybe you should show me it being put into a box with some postage for shipping. I'd rather you give me a 1, 2, 3, 4 how to assemble. I'm kind of guessing. This is it at home. I don't like that last shot though. That in the corner of a room is better than this one. Is it actually the same image? It's just like, it's such a strong room image that it dwarfs your concept. Design words, typography, flowers, color palettes. A ball of energy, eternal energy. Oh, we're doing clocks. How do we get from this and this to clocks? I know what you're doing. You're trying to build what's the junk called? Visual brand language. Taking a brand or taking a mood board and applying it to a physical object. But it'd be nice to know your word first and saying, these are visual embodiments of the word that I need to capture. And then you take design elements out of those images and saying, okay, we're going to try this with the eternal ball. We're going to try this with the swaying time. Because without it, it's a bit of a jump. Cool that you did prototypes, but this literally looks trashy. That's a bit better, but the background's keeping me from understanding what's going on. These look desaturated. That's the best one here. Number 1, number 2, and not a big fan of this guy because I don't know the potential of why'd you Dremel that out. And I can teach anybody to Dremel, so it's not really significant. You've got the Salvador Dali-esque thing. You better reinforce, right? If you did this, in order to be successful, it's got to match this, and it's got to match your word. Help bring those along with you as well. Okay. Uh-oh, come back. I can do it. I can do it. Hey, FA, are you undergrad or you grad? Because if you're undergrad, we gotta switch which class you're in because you're not gonna get credit for this class. Think about it. No writing. So I see writing, I'm ignoring it. I see writing, I'm ignoring it. I see writing, I'm ignoring it. You're wasting my time. Seriously? Let me go over and beyond and see if I can help you here. Problem, this is the way you're framing it. This is your research. Strategy, what type of strategy? Research strategy or development strategy? I don't know what the system is, so I don't know if a strategy is appropriate. Sketching, prototyping, branding. Before you get prototyping should lead to a solution that you're confident works, and then brand it, and then solution again. In terms of order, it works, but in my opinion, you've done nothing. You just basically gave him the sheet that I gave. Yeah, you're giving me back the sheet that I gave to you, which already gave it order, which was successful. Marcus Aurelius. All right, don't show the entire thing. We're on a job site. You're telling me things about a job site. I hope. We have sketches. What are you trying to solve? What problem are you trying to solve for these sketches? Because right now they look like a bunch of form. Are there certain things on a job site that need help? And just like everybody else with the One Plus system, explain the One Plus system. That way I have a little context to why you're using that battery pack and why it kind of limits a few things. In this case, limitations or criteria can actually be to your benefit. What problem are you trying to solve with these? Magnet, right? Man, this takes up 5% of the page, and that could be the most important thing you show me the entire time. Too many images, simplify it. Which brings me back to the point. What are some of the problems with having like this shards of metal hanging around? Broke it apart. Show me details. Details are good. More images, less type. Blow the images up. Some final use. Cool. This should actually be more technical, right? How far away do you have to be to get these? Why is this a better solution than the ones that are currently on the market? Man, it worked. I do like it in context. I just really need this one big image. This tells me more than that does. They tell me the same thing. I don't know which one to go with, right? So this gives me environment, but this tells me that's on a job site. So just decide between the two. Ta-da! Make this more of like an advertising page. All right, I'm going to take a little break and back in a second.